We're here. We're in it. We're live. Hopefully, I don't have to shave the beard. This would be terrible. It would be terrible to have to shave the beard. It's like my badge of honor, my pride and joy. But I already said, if we lose, it will be gone. Come on, Cowboys. Come on. Come on, Garrett. 3rd and 10. Drop back. Oh, another drop. 4th and 10. 4th and 10. We've got a shot. We got to find a way to convert here. Just a lot of drops this last couple drives. I mean, I know it's wet. I get that it's raining, but that's why you come. That's why you play this level of football, is to make those type of catches. 4th and 10, ball game right here. Come on, I don't want to shave my beard off. Come on, Garrett. Why would you do that? On 4th and 10, we hit the checkoff route. Yeah, even if he catches that, there's two guys in front of him and he's 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It's a tough way to lose. Well, we came in today with the 5th longest active home winning streak in college football. Clemson obviously was number 1, which they're on the ropes. We should have won this. 7-5 it's unacceptable. What a disaster of a season. What a disaster of a season. And my Atlanta. I don't know if you guys caught, but before the game, Robert Allen had an opportunity to kind of interview Spencer Sanders' mom, and she didn't have a lot to say other than, Robert Allen mentioned, thank you for allowing your son to come to Stillwater and be a great one. And she said, yeah, he did really good, didn't he? So she's obviously speaking in past tense. So this was the last time we would see Spencer Sanders walk out on the field again, unless we can have some big magical come to touchdown Jesus meeting. But anyway, you slice it, this is embarrassing. This is like easily, with the amount of talent and the capabilities that we had coming into this season, there's absolutely no way I think you can say that this was not Gundy's worst performance since 2005. And his legendary status definitely gives him the ability to have another season. Gundy's earned that. But yeah, there's a lot of negativity, and it just, it sucks. It's deflating. You don't know how many of these super seniors we're going to have. I know Gundy's obviously banking on that quite a bit, which is why the recruiting class is pretty light. And what's up, brother? What a rough one, man. Huh? And, pretty sure Neil Brown just maybe kept his job. We'd heard for weeks and weeks and weeks that Neil Brown's buyout was just way, way too large at $16 million for them to get rid of him. I'm going to shave. I have to. I said I would. I'm going to. As you can tell by the length, this is going to hurt my heart and soul. So we'll wait. We'll wait on a few more people to get live here. But yeah, this was a terrible season. A terrible, 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 terrible season. It's like, there's some years where you come into the season and you don't have a lot of expectations. We're typically picked 3rd place in the Big 12 every single year, regardless of, what the prior season was. I just, I hate the fact that we're starting everything new now. The future looks bright as far as a lot of the freshmen. And I will wait on one more person to get live before I make an announcement. And you guys will actually be the first to hear the announcement. As soon as we get one more person going live here, I will announce what we have coming for the show this coming week. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good one. I needed to get a few things kind of set up, and find the right way to kind of coordinate the show. For those of you who have been watching the show from the beginning, you have seen that I've had to kind of change some things on how to get the commercials in right and things of that nature. But I think I've got the hang of it. So now we'll be announcing some really cool stuff. I'm not excited to shave my beard, as you can tell. This is this is sad. All right, there we go. Rough. Knowledge is power. How are you doing, brother? I mean, okay, I'm sorry. That was a stupid question. We're all doing terrible. Watching that one. I guess my question for you is, are you more concerned about the current recruiting class, or are you more concerned about how many super seniors we could or could not have returning next season? Right? Because, they go hand in hand clearly by the number of the recruiting class. But I would argue it's not even really an argument. Gundy came into the season obviously anticipating a good number of these guys coming back. And unless Spencer Sanders would have played himself into that, third round, fourth round type of draft stock, I think Spencer was coming back. I really firmly, wholeheartedly believe Spencer was coming back before Bedlam, because we'd heard for a couple of weeks from some sources that he would be announcing before Bedlam. And it didn't happen, which I thought was slightly curious, but there was a reason for it. And then the way the Bedlam transpired, to see Spencer Sanders lose his ever-loving mind for the first time ever in his career, and then to hear his mom post-game speak to Spencer Sanders' time in Stillwater in past tense, talking about how he did do good. Not that she didn't mention at all that there was possibility of him coming back. I think as a family, they've all kind of had this conversation already. And this season, there was a lot that hung in the balance. And although I don't think nobody ever wishes a bad season, right? But it's almost like if we don't go 7-5, then do we not at least have these conversations about how Gundy has possibly hit his ceiling? Because 7-5 should never, ever, ever, ever be acceptable. Yeah, I'm sick to my stomach too, man. Absolutely. If Coach Dickey and Coach McIndoe, if they don't already have a U-Haul packed and ready to rock and roll, all they got to do is, I guess, send out a mass message. I'm sure that a large portion of us would love to be willing to help Coach Dickey and Coach McIndoe pack their U-Haul. Nothing against the guys. I think they'll both get a pretty good severance package. Charlie Dickey will, just because of Gundy's admiration for him. And you also know that McIndoe will, because he's been here since 2014. But yeah, it's just, it hasn't worked, right? And then today, it's like you saw Gundy try to be a little bit more aggressive, right? Going for it on fourth down, but he runs it right up the gut. That's what he does. And I know it's not him, right? That's obviously a done decision, but yeah, we finally grow a little bit of testicular fortitude, and then we do nothing with it. Right? We run it right up the gut, and that's, I don't know, guys. It's really hard to put all the fault, or even a lot of the fault, on Dunn, because you got to remember, before the season ever started, Dunn had a meeting with Gundy, and Dunn specifically thought that they should move on from Dickey because specifically he didn't live up to his end of the bargain, right? Which leads you to believe that, like, preseason, The coaching staff has a conversation about, oh, this is what we expect, this is what we need to have happen, and so on and so forth. And clearly, whatever Dickey said he was going to do or he wanted to do, it didn't happen. And Dunn wanted Dickey gone before the season started. Gundy pulled a Gundy, stepped in, and he saved Coach Dickey's job. I completely get it to some degree, but I don't know. How much can we blame on the rain and the ineptitude of the coaching staff? I don't think a lot of it's on the rain, right? Because if you see that when we started the game, the first 19 plays or 20 plays of the game, all pass, all pass, all pass. And you understand kind of, right? You want to get Garrett Rangel rocking and rolling and get him comfortable and get him moving. But with that amount of rain, how many drops did Braden Johnson have today? So the rain played a factor, but did it play a factor in the play calling? No. Our play calling was the same as if it was 90 and sunny, which is kind of interesting because the forecast for this week has been that it was going to be terrible on Saturday all week. And I know for a fact during practice that normally what you'll do to try to simulate a rain week is you'll soak the balls in practice. Like literally you just have a bucket. And as a quarterback, you soak all the balls so you get used to it coming into the game plan. That is not something that we did according to some of the sideline reporting. So we knew exactly what the forecast was going to be. We knew that Spencer Sanders most likely was not going to play in any capacity whatsoever. And then we start the game with 20 straight passes in the rain when it's something we didn't work on during practice. Like this whole season, there's a lot of head-scratching stuff that just doesn't make sense. It's almost, I think you could argue the fact that Gunny just wasn't prepared. Why can't we draw? Yeah, that's well, the answer to that. The answer to the question of why can't we drop 1.5 mil on a proven commodity offense coordinator, but will willingly do so at defense coordinator? I think the answer is simple. Mike Gundy has said forever and a day that he doesn't really get into the defensive side of the ball. It's not his cup of potatoes, so he doesn't really mess with it. That's the answer. Gundy has not wanted to lose control of the not necessarily play calling, but just the overall direction of the offense since 2011. A proven, yeah. See, that's the problem is we're not going to get a proven OC because that would require somebody coming in and having a conversation with Gundy that he's going to run his offense and do what he deems necessary. Gundy's not going to let that happen. Gundy always wants to be the guy that can go on the headset and say, no, we're not running here. No, we're not throwing here. Yes, we're punting here, right? And to me, that's the answer. And Gundy knows this, right? So Gundy's not going to drop a mill on a big-time, well-known offense coordinator because that means he has to relegate some of his decision-making to the OC. Guys, look at 2011, right? I've covered it before, so I don't want to, beat a dead horse or anything, but 2010, him and Dana did not get along because he didn't have that ability to tell Dana what to do on the headset live during games. Gundy didn't like that. 2011, different story. Whedon had to teach the entirety of the offense to Todd Monken, which kind of by default pushed Gundy off to the side. So he couldn't really get on the headset and override because Whedon and Monken have a significant number of plays they could go through. So they had a call sheet for every drive, kind of like you script the game coming out. When you come out of the first half, you have like 15 to 20 plays that are scripted. Those are the plays that you determine based off of what they do defensively. We can exploit these areas. So you run those plays to exploit those exact defensive areas. After that, it's kind of on comfortability and what the defense is doing for you. And yeah, our scripting, it hasn't been very good. And then on the other side of the ball, the adjustment to scripting hasn't been great until after halftime. At least we know that this season nothing went wrong overall when it comes to Derek Mason. Did he dominate by any stretch? No, but how many freshmen got to play this year on defense? And you would like to think that 90%, 95% of those freshmen are probably returning on the defensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball is going to be tricky. There's going to be some people that follow what Spencer Sanders does on our team, on the offense, unfortunately. But you get it. Um, yeah, guys, we're still shy. I want to get a few more people on here before I make the announcement and shave. But yeah, proven OC wouldn't stay. Jerry Jones, yeah, Mike Gundy, Jerry Jones. That's actually not a bad, that's not a bad comparison. That's cool. Yeah, I think the boat for Gundy going to other places may have softened a little bit. Knowles had a rough first couple years, but even Jim Knowles told you that what he was trying to do when he first got here, it wasn't going to work. It took him some time to figure out that the system that he was trying to install just wasn't going to cut it. But kudos to Knowles. He adapted. And in year 3, he really started to take what we had and made it fit instead of making something work that just it wasn't working. So that's a testament to Jim Knowles' ability and capability to change some things, to make some adjustments on the fly. Let's see. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, Mason's going to be fine. I would almost argue that Derek Mason could lead this team, right? I mean, what did he have to work with at Vandy? Right? It's flipping Vanderbilt. Now, what Lance Leipold was able to do at Kansas shades that a little bit here, but I don't know. It is what it is. But yeah, we've got to have some changes. It's sad that we're always going to be stuck in the offensive coordinator position that we're in, and I don't think we're going to be able to retain Dunn because of what transpired preseason. Right? That left a sour taste in Dunn's mouth when he's saying, "Hey, Coach Gundy, I've been here forever. You've promoted me. Oh, damn it. We've got the 5. Okay, so I have to make the announcement now." So this coming week, we will finally be having guests on the show. I have confirmations from Stephon Johnson Sr., so Stephon Johnson Jr.'s dad. The reason he's going to be important to a guest on the show is because obviously his son is going to be a big time receiver. I want to pick his brain a little bit more about how Stephon Johnson Jr. decided to go from Oregon to Oklahoma State. I want to get his feel on the freshmen that are coming in. And yeah, just overall. And then the other announcement, I got another guest. You ready? So Thursday, I will be bringing in Tatum Bell. So I'll have Tatum Bell on as well as Stephon Johnson Sr. But on top of his son and his decision to go from Oregon to Oklahoma State, he has a large feel and a large reach when it comes to the recruiting side of things in the state of Texas. Obviously, as does Tatum Bell. If you haven't watched Tatum Bell's son's highlights, they're worth watching. So I'm going to do my best to do everything in my power to get some sort of commitment from Tatum Bell that his son will come to Oklahoma State. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I've also got more guests lined up. I'm just waiting on exact confirmations. So this is going to be fun. And I wanted to make sure that I had a good grasp of how to run my show properly before I had guests like this on. But yeah, it's going to be cool. I'm very excited. That's really why I kind of got into this, realistically speaking. Yes, I cover Oklahoma State on a daily basis, so it was a natural fit. But also, I wanted to be able to use this platform to have people like that on. I also have some connections with Marquis Fontaine and Corey Hilliard. I've had some conversations with Kenyatta Wright. So Scott, if you're listening to this, you're going to be on the show as well, brother. You know you are. So we've got a lot of things coming, which is really cool. So now that I've got that out of the way, we'll do this. Next time it peaks up to 5 again, I'll go ahead and shave this daggone thing off. R.I.P. the beard. I know, bro. I know, man. And the funny part is, so I've been doing this since 2011. I grow the beard out every year. And then I typically shaved it the first loss of the season. So obviously I was supposed to shave after the TCU game. But to be honest with you, my other one broke. So I couldn't. And then we lost again. And we lost again. And so even my kids were like, "Dad, the season's spiraling out of control. Just let it rock, let it roll. I was like, you know what, kids, you're right. Sometimes 8-year-olds and 15-year-olds, yeah, they are accurate. So I rolled with it, but I I really didn't think we'd lose this game. Whether we had Spencer Sanders playing or not, it being senior day and us having 26 dudes that could potentially be gone, I just thought we were playing for too much. And then pregame in the locker room, I'd heard that Colin Oliver was telling Brock Martin, "Don't stress, we got this. We're not going to let you down." And then we let a running back go for over 150. One thing I will say, West Virginia is not a bad squad. They have talent. They are not better than we are. But, they've peaked a couple times this year, which did tell you that they're going to have the capability to pull some upsets. But how about this face dive that we've experienced this year is just it's hard. It's hard to swallow. It's hard to deal with. It doesn't make sense. Something's not right in Stillwater. The only bright side is the freshman, right? Like Ollie Gordon, he's that dude. Why Ollie Gordon and Jaden Nixon were not a integral, focal part of the offense weeks ago, I don't know. Right? So to me, I think Dickey and McAdoo are the most glaring issues that just absolutely have to go. But outside of that, I wasn't real big into the let's fire Dunn camp. But the decision making, when Gundy does actually let some things fly, the decision making behind it hasn't been stellar, right? So, you know what? I might just get this thing over with. But if anybody's obviously got any questions, comments, concerns, I definitely obviously wanted to make the announcement that I've got some guests coming, and that's something that I want to continue to do. I want to have guests come on a weekly basis. JD Walsh is somebody that I really, really want on the show. But I knew during season it was going to be hard to get a hold of him. But now that we're kind of towards the end of the season, I will reach back out to my contact and see if I can get JW on the show. Over under number of seasons before Weiberg game gave Gundy. That's an interesting question. Because Weiberg's the first AD to give Gundy what he's always wanted, which is an open door policy. Chad Weiberg gave Gundy the ability to basically walk into his office and help make decisions, right? So Weiberg is a big Gundy guy. So I would go, but at the same time, like, he's young, he's enthusiastic. I'm sure he knows that, you got to strike while the iron's hot or it's going to dissipate, right? The excitement for Oklahoma State football, it's going to slowly dissipate if we don't capitalize. So I would over under. So this is year one of them together. I would be surprised and upset if we have another 7-win season last year and Gundy's not gone. So over under, I'm going to say over under would be 3. I would say 3 years would be a good over under. With the way we're playing and the way this season has transpired, I'm going to go with the under. That it is good to see, in my personal opinion, that there are a decent amount of fans that are finally starting to come around to the idea that maybe Gundy has hit his ceiling. And our inability to capitalize on the 2011, 2021 type seasons. Yeah, my biggest irritation with, the overarching defense of Gundy is just the fact that we have had so many opportunities and we failed to capitalize, right? And I hate this idea that Oklahoma State is just going to crumble and fall by the wayside if Mike Gundy is not the head man. To me, that's an absolutely preposterous thing to even say. It's living in fear. And living in fear is no way to live at all, because we have the facilities, we have the resources, we have the incentives, we have the success, we have the recruiting prowess, right? Guys, growing up as an O State fan, we had to recruit out of Texas almost exclusively, because OU controlled the in-state market. So we had to get all of our recruits from Texas for the longest time. This last couple of years, that has not been the case. We have been getting the Malcolm Rodriguez's and the Brock Martins and the Colin Olivers and the Kendall Daniels. So we've been capitalizing on in-state recruiting, and our reach has gotten bigger, right? You see a lot of players like Thomas Harper and his brother Devin Harper. They're from Louisiana. We've got some players from Mississippi. Obviously, Kansas has been somewhere we've been able to poach here and there. We're getting players from Utah now. So our expansion needs to be something that's capitalized upon. All right, we'll get one more live, and then I'll just get it done. Just get it done. And if I cry, I guess you are allowed to make fun of me if I cry. That's fair. But yeah, I would say over under 3 years, right? Because again, we have the ability to capitalize. We're just not doing it. And this year's recruiting class, I did say, not that I would have, a month ago, I wasn't super concerned about this particular recruiting class, right? Only having 10 commits wasn't the end of the world with the amount of potential super seniors that we had coming back. But that's taken a hit. That's taken a big hit. Right? Out of 26 dudes, I don't know how many more are going to be willing to stay, right? It would be amazing to have Jason Taylor to come back. You know what? Actually, defensively, if Derek Mason's back, with all of the youth we played on defense, I don't see a lot of turnover defensively. Like, that most likely is going to be our calling card next year, is our defense. My concern is the offense. With Spencer Sanders most likely transferring and having some knowledge that some players are watching that very, very closely, it concerns me on the offensive side of the ball. And yeah, if we get the Green twins back, Blaine Green's going to be the main guy moving forward at Cowboy back, which means we most likely lose Rashad Owens, which that sucks, man. Rashad Owens and Langston Anderson were two that I've been dying to see get more PT. And yeah, moving him to that kind of tight end Cowboy back position was a pretty good idea, even though he's a hair undersized. But he got to watch the way that Blaine prepared preseason. So if we can find a way to retain Rashad Owens, that's going to be massively beneficial. We should have the Green brothers obviously coming back, and Blaine is going to be the main guy at that tight end position. But it's inexcusable to have Dickey and McIntyre on the staff. It really is. It's absolutely inexcusable. And we're almost reaching 30 minutes. I'm probably just going to shake this dang thing off and get it over with. Yeah. Well, I got a couple of you on here. Who would be your main get to have on the show? Because my top 5 to get on the show were JW Walsh, Tatum Bell, Kenyatta Wright, R.W. McQuarters, and I can't remember who I had 5th, actually. I can't remember who I had listed as 5th earlier on, but yeah, give me some ideas for some other guys to have on the show. Zach Robinson. That was it. Zach Robinson. That was the other one I wanted to get on the show. Getting Zach Robinson on the show would be probably extremely difficult. I don't have a single inroad to get in contact with Zach Robinson. But crazier things have happened. It could happen. Yeah, you know what? We're almost 30 minutes. I'm gonna wait 30 seconds, and we're just gonna. If you can't tell, I'm clearly putting it off, but it is what it is. Get my little trash receptacle here. Oh, well, the worst part is once this goes, you'll see this little Mississippi waterfall I got going back here. It's going to look ridiculous. Like the beard kind of matched the fluff. So now I'm going to have to get a haircut too. All right, here we go. It is what it is. Tis what it is. Oh my. Oh man. Oh, I hate this. I hate this. It can feel my soul, leaving my body. This is terrible. Oh my. Oh my goodness gracious. I look like a child now. Goodness me. Oh, let's do all of it. Screw it. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, I hate it. Oh, screw it. I'll do all of it. Why not? Why not? I deserve to look like a kid again after this season. I blame Gundy for this. Have a Weedman shelf on? Yeah, that would actually be cool. I grew up with the shelf. I mean, he's I think he was 2 years younger than me. But yeah, I grew up in Enid, and then transferred to Stillwater High for obviously high school. All right. That is that. Shave my head bald. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. Oh my Lanta. Oh, okay. I'll make a deal. I'll make you a deal. What would it take for me to shave my head bald? Let's stick with the transfer market stuff, right? So we know Spencer's gone. Oh, we don't. Okay, I'm sorry. We don't know that. That's not a 100% certainty. Goodness gracious, man, I don't like it. I don't like it. I hate it. Okay, to shave the hair off too. Let's see, what would that take? Who can we not lose? Ooh, I'll say it. Since he's going to be on the show next week. If Stephon Johnson Jr. transfers, I will shave my entire head off. Yeah, that's. Oh man, I haven't shaved all of it off in years. Like I always keep the sideburns and the little scruff McGruff on the chin. So this is yeah, I hate it. Or maybe it's because I got the Mississippi waterfall going on behind it. Oh yeah, I've got to get Malcolm Rodriguez. So I actually thought about that one. He was my top of the defensive guys. Shave it if we lose the bowl game. Okay, that's fair. I'll do that. So that I've never ever done. Not a single day time of my life have I ever shaved my head. Um, yeah, I haven't done this. I don't know. It's sad when you can't stand the look of yourself, but goodness gracious. Well, there's that. Yeah, Malcolm Rodriguez would be great, and I actually do. I think I have um, the ability to get him on, but he's a hot commodity, y'all. Malcolm Rodriguez is being asked by everyone and their mom to join whatever show they have. This is terrible. This is so terrible. I can't stand it. Speaking of bowl game, what do you think? Well, I think we probably made we just played ourselves out of being in contention for the Cheez It Bowl. So the Insight.com Bowl, something to that effect. I mean, it really doesn't matter at this point in time. Liberty Bowl, yes, possible, maybe. If we could get the Liberty Bowl just because we travel fairly successfully, so that's still a possibility. But the beauty of the bowl game is it's extra time, right? It's far more preparation, which is massive for the younger cats, right? So, like, when you take into consideration that you've had people like Lyric Rawls and Stephon Johnson Jr. Play a significant role this season, or even Ollie Gordon, the bowl prep, it gives them almost an additional spring, right? Realistically, like it's an extra 28, 38 practices that, obviously the later your bowl is, the more you get. But yeah, okay, that's fair. If if we lose our bowl game, I will shave all of it off. Hmm. It's a good thing I wear hats because I can guarantee you this: me shaving my head ain't a pretty sight. It's not a it's not a good thing. Liberty Bowl, yeah, we haven't fared the greatest. Bro, gonna just not have a fire for head coaching, which is impressive. Yeah, yeah. Oh, that I'm happy we're doing this live thing. So I catch everything. Oklahoma State. Like I watched all of the interviews, all of the post game, and this is I didn't even want to turn it on. This season is just it's been rough. There has to be just something put in that holds Gundy to a higher standard. I look good. I disagree, man. I feel like I feel like a kid. I hate it. I hate it. Yeah, legitimately speaking, I haven't shaved my every part of my beard off in at least 6 years, 5 years. I've had a beard for like 12 years. Um, yeah, I don't like it. Well, part of it is because if you see, I got one dimple on this side, but no dimple on this side. I always thought it was kind of odd, so I just covered it up. I've never noticed I got a little indention here. See, things change over time, and my face just covered it up, and now I got this. Oh, man, this stuff back here is now bothering me. All right, guys. Man, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go drink a beer or something. Yeah, if we could get changes, something has to change. There's just you can only make excuses for so long, right? There's so yeah, if you missed it, Mr. Russell Wright. Um, I told him, and I will, if we lose the ball game, I will. I'll shave everything off, like all of it, which I've never done, not one single time in my life. That's actually been like my biggest fear is losing my hair, as you can see. I'm trying to get my best Gundy on, but without the beard, I just look ridiculous. Here's what it is. referring to Gundy. I mean, he deserves a good old fashioned country Judy chop throat punch. Does he not? Well, you know, from a marketing standpoint, when Gundy was doing that, it did a lot for the university, which again, the stuff that he's done means that no matter what happened, guys, if we would have went 2-9 this year, 2-10, it wouldn't have mattered. Gundy has still earned his stripes enough to get another season, no matter which way you slice it. It's just, but something has to change, right? For everybody that just continues to die on the hill of Gundy can do no wrong, that to me is putting us backwards as a university, right? Put it in Gunny's contract that if he doesn't win Big 12 next year, he shaves his head and takes a 50% pay cut. I would go further than that, boss man. I guess okay. It depends on how the season goes. If it's like 8-4, 9-3, and we lose the Big 12 title game, then yes, I agree. Gundy should shave his head off live on air and then take a 50% pay cut. And the pay, that's the thing. When people say, we have to have Gundy or we're going to fall into this oblivion, that is ridiculous. We're paying Mike Gundy $7.5 million plus bonus incentives. To think that we can't find a Hugh Freeze or a Mike Leach or a Matt Rule or a Dave Aranda type when we have that kind of money, that's just asinine to me for us to continue to think that way. 10 years ago, yes, right? We couldn't have lost Gundy. 5 years ago, we were creeping into that territory where we could pay for another big boy coach. Now it's unconscionable that we at least not have these discussions. It's just like, just like I said, I think Gundy has earned another year. Just like if he earns this other year and we play like this season or we have this type of performance, he has earned his walking papers. Legends must go sometimes. And it does suck that you have to walk that fine line, right? There's a teeter-totter effect. You don't want to fall into getting rid of a Mac Brown or a Tom Solich and going through what Nebraska and Texas went through. I get that. But this belief that we're inevitably going to fall apart without Gundy, to me, is just, it's unfair to the university. It's unfair to the players. It's unfair to the recruits. If OSU hired you as an OC, will run whatever you want. Well, then I hope you get the job, boss. I really do. You know what? I'll see if I can't kick some stuff around the locker room there and make some stuff happen. I can tell you this: anybody on this live feed, whether you played college football or not, would probably know enough to think that running it up the gut on 3rd and 18 is maybe not the greatest idea of all time. And then I don't know what that play call was with a minute 40, minute 50 left on 4th down, 4th and 3. Ollie Gordon is just rocking and rolling, churning his legs, driving down the field like a boss. DeAndre Jackson looks pretty good. And then we throw a wheel route into oblivion. So yeah, all of us could potentially, I mean, hell, pay me $800,000 to run the ball up the gut. I can do that. Yeah, Pat Jones football was that's a mixed bag too, right? And let's be honest. Pat Jones is down there at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to Oklahoma State University coaching if he doesn't have Thurman Thomas and Barry Sanders and Hartley Dykes and Mike Gundy, right? And that was when we were doing the pay-to-play stuff. Right? It's no secret that we paid Dexter Manley. It's no secret that we got Hartley Dykes, a freaking Thunderbird. Was it worth it? No, because then the ban came And to me, put a little bit of a diminishment on Jimmy Johnson. People don't talk about Jimmy Johnson as being an O State Cowboy coach, right? Anywhere. You never hear about it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Without Barry and Thurman and Hartley and the Trans Ams and whatever, Pat Jones proved to be a mediocre coach. You got my vote then. You got my vote then, brother. As long as you promise not to run it up the gut on 3rd and 18, I think you could have a possibility. Well, it depends. I coached high school, little league type stuff for like 8 years. Maybe that makes me. I might be eligible, right? I mean, or dang it, I should have taken a job at Shippensburg State. That would have had me in the running here. Yeah, I'm not a big Pat Jones guy. Not because of his coaching. I have issue with Pat Jones because how much he badmouths OSU football. I mean, have you heard him on the Sports Animal? He badmouths Oklahoma State a lot. And it's not like just completely talking crap per se, but like last year's a perfect example. When we're good, he talks about how lucky we get and this and that and the other. He has talked in the past about how, Gundy is serviceable, but nothing more. I thought that was just Pat Jones being, a little butthurt 24/7, but maybe he was on to something. Yeah, this hurts. So now that I don't have a beard, I'm even more pissed off about this season. Yeah, I mean, I'm the one that said it, so it's my fault, but 7-5. When you had Brock Martin come back, Tyler Lacey coming back, Spencer Sanders coming back, Braden Johnson coming back. It just, and then Brandon Evers. Yeah. So that's why I question the amount of super seniors we could potentially have come back, because what happened this season, we had a large portion of those individuals come back, and it equaled nothing. It equaled a terrible season. This is the deepest we have ever been in Stillwater. Like, it's not even close, y'all. If you look at the two deep, where they came from, where they were recruited, how they've progressed, it's not even close. And that, to me, is the saving grace for Gundy. The cupboard is by no means bare. Talent, we're more than fine. Spencer Sanders transfers, and so do a bunch of other guys. Next year is not going to be very good, and we have a weak recruiting class. Things are going to – they could get worse. That's what I'm saying. Like, West Virginia is a perfect case study. They spiraled out of control. Everybody wanted Neil Brown gone all year, but they didn't have the ability to buy his contract out. His buyout, $16 million. And him winning this game almost ensures that he keeps his job, because West Virginia does not have the ability to fork over. I did hear yesterday that they have had some donors step up that are willing to buy him out, but they prefer not to, because if they buy Neil Brown's contract out, then that means they are SOL when it comes to NIL. They are not going to be able to pay for the pay-to-play type of stuff if they dump all their money in Neil Brown. Do we as a university want to get to that place? Because it is fair to think that might be where we're heading. Gundy's got this ridiculous lifetime self-renewing contract. That has to go, right? To me, that Chad Weiberg should be announcing very quickly, like, I don't know, in the next couple months, that we will not be paying our head man $7.5 million to win 7 games. I'm glad you brought that up. How much of the record this year do you attribute to the number of injuries and the fact that we had our bye week after they out of conference? Yeah, no, that bye week, I talked about it when it happened. That's the worst draw, is to have your bye week that early in the season, because at that point in time, we didn't have any injuries, right? You have a little, bruises and nicks here and there, but it is amazing how that bye week falling at the right time is massive. Right? TCU is a good example. Their bye week was when they were trying to get a couple dudes healthy, and it worked for them. Last year, our bye week was at a pretty good spot in the season for us, and it helped us. This year, I would blame more on the bye week than the injuries, to be honest with you, because you saw the talent that came in. A lot of the freshmen and sophomores, the underclassmen that ended up having to play this year, from a talent perspective, are better, right? Like, perfect example. Everybody loves the fact that Sean Michael Flanagan put in his stripes and paid his dues in Stillwater, Oklahoma. He deserved some PT, but he is nowhere near. He's not even on the same hemisphere as Kendall Daniels. Lyric Rawls, whenever he plays, like, I actually have graded quite a few of Lyric Rawls' plays because he didn't play a lot, right? So it's easy to grade his film. But this season, and including this game, players like him, Lyric Rawls, and Lamont Bishop show up on the stat sheet a lot more than people really see, I think, because of their responsibilities in packaging. So Cam Smith is a baller. Lyric Rawls is a baller. They're both more talented than Sean Michael Flanagan. Kendall Daniels is probably the most talented player we have on the defense, not named Colin Oliver. And I will say that there are times where Colin Oliver takes some plays off. You do not see that with Kendall Daniels. Kendall Daniels goes 125 miles an hour 24/7. Kendall Daniels' problem is he takes angles improperly at times. Today was the best game, hands down, not even close, for Xavier Benson. So hopefully he's one of those super seniors that comes back. Although we look really good with Nick Martin. I think Lamont Bishop's probably going to come back. And before the season, I think people forget that Jeff Roberson was supposed to be a starter over Xavier Benson. So we'll have him back. So getting Xavier back with Martin, Lamont Bishop is the one that I think kind of hangs in the balance, because he clearly doesn't have the lateral side to side that Xavier Benson has, which is why Xavier plays over him. And that's why Lamont Bishop comes in the red zone packaging, especially goal line. But I really think I'm feeling really confident about what we retain on defense as far as super seniors. You are right. It's the offense that's very scary, because some people are going to follow Spencer Sanders' lead. If you listen to Gundy's presser, makes me wonder when he talks about Spencer Sanders' availability for this game. I wonder, yeah. So that is true. Before the game, pregame, you heard Robert Allen talking about how Spencer didn't take any snaps really this week, and he was still in the locker room trying to get suited up or whatever while Rangel and Gundy were out there getting warm. And then so at 9 a.m., he was talking about there was a 70% chance that Spencer does play. And then it went to a 70% chance Spencer doesn't play. And then it went to a 90% chance Spencer doesn't play. And then not even 2 minutes later, they talked to Gundy pregame. And what does Gundy say? I expect them to do a lot of man coverage. I expect them to blitz Spencer Sanders a lot today and put a lot of pressure on Spencer. I think you're 100% accurate. Gundy knew good and daggone well that Spencer wasn't playing. I think Gundy knew good and daggone well that Spencer had already made his mind up. And it was just smoke and mirrors, which pisses me off. Because, okay, look at the post-game interviews of J.C. Hoyt. Look at the post-game interviews of Mike Boynton. Look at the post-game interviews of John Smith. They all talk about where they went wrong, where they went right, where they have injuries, what part of practice they didn't prepare properly. Mike Gundy is the only coach on campus that just clams up and decides when he's going to disclose any information whatsoever. To me, that's maddening. Like, Mike Boynton may get an extra year because of the exact opposite reasons of Mike Gundy. Mike Gundy's going to get an additional year because he's earned it. He's put in 18 years of massive amounts of success. Mike Boynton has probably maybe earned his walking papers, but the way that he talks to the fans, the way that he handled the band last season, it makes you just think as a parent, I want my kid to play for a dude like that. I want my son to play for a Mike Boynton. And you see that in the recruiting class. Look at OSU's basketball recruiting class right now. It's phenomenal, guys. We signed the number 11 or number 12 class in America in basketball. Is he a better recruiter than he is a coach? Yes. But when you have that amount of talent, you feel like that it's going to shine through at times. There's going to be times where that amount of talent in and of itself It exudes. And you see that in the press conferences. Guys, I love the way that JC Hoyt does press conferences. I would hire JC. Can JC Hoyt be our football coach too? She's a beast, y'all. And she holds everybody accountable. She holds herself accountable. Now, I can't do that, Ruben. That's one thing I can't do. And I know you're kidding. I know you're being slightly sarcastic. But if we don't make some serious changes, I'll change teams. I can't do that. Guys, you can't see it. Oh, I got Oshu tattoos. Like, I'm a diehard. The definition of die hard. That's me. So I'll be an Oshu fan until the day I die. I want my casket orange and black. I want my suit orange and black. I want all of it. And I'm in for all of it. But yeah, it sucks that you have Mike Boynton that you can tell he loves the fan base. He wants to be engaged with the fan base. So he discloses all of this information, all of this stuff that Gundy refuses to talk about. It's so frustrating. Like, I'm just so over his press conferences because either you get the really light, fun side where he's doing one-arm push-ups and wearing a singlet and rocking a mullet. You get that fun side of Gundy when things are going well. The millisecond that something happens that isn't going well, Gundy clams up and he don't want to talk about shit. I'm sorry for cursing. I'm sorry for getting hyped up here. But yeah, man, Mike Boynton is a dude that you will defend because you know that he cares about the players. Is he the greatest about game management? No, he's not. But kids love Mike Boynton. They want to play for Mike Boynton. We have dudes that come from New York, New Jersey, California, Florida. They don't care. We have dudes that want to play for Mike Boynton. Yeah, I knew you were kidding. I knew you were kidding. And my beef is with Gundy too. Yeah, you're dead on. What do I think about the gang today? Well, you missed. I shaved my beard, and I hate it. If we are losing respect for Gundy, that's how the play. Yeah, that's exactly how the players are feel. It's amazing to watch the shift in just the last month, right? And it all starts with Spencer Sanders. When you and I implore y'all, I mean, when you get an opportunity, if you go back and look at the film, it all started against TCU. Like, you could literally count on two fingers for the first 4 games how many times you caught players walking live during a play. It did not happen. 2021, look back at the film. How many times did you players walking during the play? Never. After TCU, you saw some of our best players walking and jogging live during plays. And then if you saw Spencer lose his cool on the sidelines, that's never happened. So if your head guy, right, the guy that you know players are going to come out and fight to death for, which is Spencer Sanders, when you see him cash it in, it's not on him. It's on why. Why did Spencer Sanders cash it in? Go back to TCU film. You'll see why. Go back to the K-State film. You'll see why. We've had players. We had Jason Taylor in an interview last week say verbatim, we played better in Bedlam because we didn't quit, like the K-State game. So our own players are saying that they quit and they gave up live during game. That's new. And it's going to kill our football program if the powers that be cannot let go. Yeah, 100%, right? Because, again, that's my point. We still have time to capitalize. We have years and years and years now of success, right? We're still one of the top 10 most winningest programs over the last decade. We've still got dudes like Ollie Gordon, Stephon Johnson Jr., and the Shetron brothers. I believe Tabor Shetron is going to be a good one. I think Blaine Green and his brother are going to be massive assets moving forward. We still have plenty of pieces to make this thing go, but you are flipping 100% accurate. If we do not capitalize, if we have another 7-win season next year and we don't make major moves directly after the season, then I think you see the downturn of Oklahoma State football. The thing that people fear is that we get rid of Gundy and we fall apart. My fear is that if we keep Gundy too long, we could fall apart. And I think that to me is scarier because if we don't capitalize on what we have now, then we won't get another big time coach. Right now, we can go get a Matt Rule type. We can go get a Dave Aranda type. We can go get a Lance Leipold type. Right now, we can. We have the financial ability, we have the longevity of success, we have the ability in recruiting, and we have the budget and resources to maximize where Oklahoma State is right now. But yeah, if we hang on to Gundy too long, we're gonna find ourselves in a Tom Solich situation. And if y'all who don't know, Tom Solich was the coach for Nebraska, and they fired him after winning 10 games, 11 games, 9 games. That's not what we're doing right here, though, right? If this is a 9-10 win season, we're not having this conversation, but we should be. So, in a really, really messed up way, us going 7-5, I think benefits the future. Now, I'm not crazy. Calm down. Hear me out. If we'd have gone 9-3, 10-2, what does that do? That gives Gundy another contract. And let's all be fair. The problem with Gundy has always been the way he clams up in fourth quarters, right? Yeah, I think I'm right. I hope I'm right. We still have all of the ability to capitalize. We still have all of the ability. Guys, if we have a Lance Leipold or a Dave Aranda, could anybody here say that we don't have at least 2 more conference titles? At least 2 more conference title appearances? The fact that Ollie Gordon, yeah. Ollie Gordon's that dude. Ollie Gordon is light years. And this is no offense to Dom. I've been a hardcore proponent, as you guys know, all season for Dom. I'm the guy who wants to build the Dom Dozer t-shirts. Okay. But he's not better than Ollie Gordon. He's not better than Jaden Nixon. He's reliable, which is nice. Reliable is good on 4th and 1. But guys, the longest run for Dominic Richardson all year was 15 yards all season long. Ollie did that numerous times today. So, yeah, no, you're right. I think that was big time for Ollie today because, yeah, if we can't find a way to use him, we will lose him. Let's see. What else? What else we got here? Evidence of players losing respect is when the team leader screaming at the assistants and the culture is showing negative emotions is key. The team is fed up. Yeah, 100%. Everything y'all are saying is very, very spot on. If we're honest with ourselves, we win in spite of Gundy. Yes. Oh, I shouldn't have got that excited. I'm sorry, but that's right. That is very right. So it's so funny, right? On my daily Locked On Oklahoma State show, I'd only had, for the first 12 shows were like breaking every previous record for the last 3 years of the show, right? My 2 shows that didn't beat the first 11 shows were the 2 shows that I was criticizing Gundy. And now, granted, this was weeks ago, but I was saying the same thing. Is like he gets in his own damn way. Every single year, rinse, wash, repeat. He's a good coach, and he's done amazing things for Oklahoma State, but he's not a great coach, and he's proven that over and over and over. But because we peak and have these 10, 11, 12 win seasons, every time we have one, it's like people forget about all the Iowa State Bedlam type games that Gundy's lost. Better fourth play. Yeah. Okay, so what's a good way to have better fourth down plays? Is to be more consistent in your approach up to fourth down. Does that make sense? Just like on defense, it's hard to have fourth down packages when you don't even have a proper third down package. Yeah, 4th and 2, throw a fade to your 220-pound running back that had been running the ball like a madman. And it's one of those things, right? If the dude, Ollie Gordon, it was great to see his game today, which means that it's going to be great to see what he does in the bowl game. Better fourth down plays for sure. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about the stupidity of the 4th and 2? Yeah. We covered that one. The last OSU, we were running the ball down West Virginia's throat. And then, yes, exactly. Exactly right. And on top of that, you're asking a freshman, right? And only his second start ever to drive your team down the field, throwing the ball when you're finally running ball. Guys, was that not the best 2 drives of the year almost were the last 2 drives of this game? And what did you see? Ollie Gordon, DeAndre Jackson, Ollie Gordon, Ollie Gordon, DeAndre Jackson, Ollie Gordon. Braden Johnson had a big case of the dropsies today. Stephon Johnson Jr., I think, didn't get involved enough, but we'll let his dad cover that when we have his dad on the show next week. And by the way, guys, if any of you have any questions that you want me to ask Stephon Johnson Jr.'s dad, let me know. Let me know. Like, I obviously, I have a list of things to cover with him, but I don't know if he's going to want to do a 30-minute show or hour-long show. I don't care. I will let him and Tatum Bell talk for as long as they want, y'all. Yeah, that was it. And that's, like I said, I have been defending Dunn this season. I've been on the get rid of Dickey camp all year. I've been on the get rid of McIndoe camp for a couple years now. But I was of the ilk that I would like to try to retain Dunn. But I know for a fact that Dunn's felt very disrespected by Gundy refusing to listen to him about firing Dickey before the season started. Casey Dunn wanted a new O-line coach before spring, and Gundy just shut him down. So, and as Gundy's mentioned, Dunn has the capabilities to go somewhere and be an OC, and you never know. Like, look at Mike Yurcich. After he left, his offense got bigger, arguably better. I don't know what Sean Gleason's doing, but okay, so let's talk about Sean Gleason, right? We bring in Sean Gleason from Princeton, and I know it didn't quite work out, but what was he famous for running at Princeton? A double to triple quarterback attack. And again, this is when we had J.B. Walsh and Clint Shelf, 2 very mobile quarterbacks. So when we brought Sean Gleason in, I actually was like, oh, Gundy's a genius. We're going to run multiple diamond formations where we have 2 quarterbacks and 2 running backs in the backfield at the same time, maybe even with a tight end. So I thought the packaging with Sean Gleason was going to be worth its weight in gold. But it didn't happen. We never not one time did we ever have J.W. Walsh and Clint Shelf take a snap together, which to me is ridiculous because that's what made him successful at Princeton is you had to respect. They had 3 mobile quarterbacks, but they would pitch and then throw it back and then throw it deep. Like Sean Gleason actually ran a pretty cool offense at Princeton, but he brought none of it to Stillwater. He didn't do a damn thing that he did at Princeton in Stillwater. Dunn is a very good wide receiver coach. Yeah, he is, but he's got that taste now of offensive coordinator. And guys, although some of the play calling was just, you can't say the R word anymore, so ridiculous, okay? Some of the play calling this year was absolutely ridiculous, but how much of that, if you're a coach, is because of maybe like your limitations up top? Like, if you're an OC, it's like, okay, well, I could do this play or this play, but it doesn't really matter because Gundy's probably going to punt anyways. So does it not limit Dunn's capabilities? I think we see Dunn go somewhere and be an OC, and I think we see him be a successful OC, just like Mike Yurcich. Larry Fedora, Todd Monken, the list goes on. Marcus Arroyo. The guys who've had a major hand in the ascension of Oklahoma State, all of them have gone on and been very successful head coaches and coordinators. So it's like this. If you learn from Gundy on how to operate things, it's magical. It does a lot for you. And then as soon as you leave Gundy and the handcuffs get taken off, you get to take everything that you learned in Stillwater that was huge, because Gundy does do a lot of things that are phenomenal, but he also does some things that holds the team back and it holds these coaches back. So Yeah, whether you want Dunn back or not, I don't think Dunn's coming back. I think he felt disrespected in the offseason by what Gundy did when it came to Gundy and McIndoe. And then during the season, right? How many times as an offensive coordinator, you know that to get your next big paycheck, that means you have to put up numbers. So there's no way in God's purple earth that anybody can assume that Casey Dunn was all about run the ball, 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 run the ball against TCU when you're up by 20. You know that wasn't done, y'all. Every time Texas Tech, Baylor, we get leads, we take the foot off the gas, we let the other team come back, and it makes this stupid, unnecessary, exciting fourth quarter. Dude, does anybody here legitimately think that was Casey Dunn's call? Do you think Casey Dunn wanted to take his foot off the gas over and over and over? Is that good for his retention of his job? No. Is that good for him to get paid more money at a new job? No. So again, that's why we're going to lose Dunn, whether you want him gone or not. You have to take into consideration that his inability to override Gundy, it limits what he can do offensively. And you know good and daggone well when we've got a 20-point lead and Gundy's in the headset saying, hey, let's play it safe. We're going to play it safe here, okay? Don't pass. You damn sure better not pass the ball here. I'm getting more pumped and hyphy as this thing goes on. Hey, guys, I promise I started this show so kind of chill and this much of the horde play calling and Gundy override. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. We might never know. I think it's both. Again, I don't think it's solely on Gundy or Dunn, but they don't work well together this season. That's for sure. They didn't work well together last season. Right? I think that's something that we tend to forget. We had more pieces. We had Jalen Warren on offense. We had Tay Martin as that guy that could go up and get it. Now I know Jaden Bray's probably going to be that guy too, so we'll stay calm there. But this 7-5 disastrous performance by Gundy this season is the only reason why a large portion of the fan base that thought that Gundy walks on water will maybe finally now be willing to at least have a conversation that, unfortunately, the same person who's responsible for the massive ascension is also the same person that's held us back. It's sad. It really is. Like everybody and their mom has wanted Gundy to be more successful because everybody and their mom wanted to have a coach that would stay for 30 years. And now it's at the point he can't get the Nebraska job because they already hired Matt Rule, so that's out. He can't get the Tennessee job because Heupel's killing it, so that's out. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously didn't want him because he wanted that job, interviewed 3 times, and they didn't take him, but that ship has sailed. So now, whether we like it or not, we're stuck with Gundy, at least for next season. But just like, it's going to be super, super sad to see Spencer Sanders go, it almost feels right. Does it not? It feels right that we're going to usher in a new era. We're going to have new uniforms. We're going to have a new quarterback. We're going to have new OC. Everything's going to be different next season. So if you're going with this new age changing of the guard, it's hard to keep Gundy. Like, I think that we're having more difficulty convincing ourselves to retain Mike Gundy than we're having in moving on. Because again, we got to strike while the iron's hot. And if we have another 7-win season last year and we roll with Gundy and going into 2024, I do see a not a nosedive, but I do see a downward trajectory. We have to capitalize before it's too late. I'm trying, Russell. All right. Yeah, no, because you're right. Ruben says, I don't think I've ever watched a game with Gundy as a coach where I thought the other team was put away. He doesn't do that. Gundy has never, ever, ever, ever wanted to put his foot on somebody's throat and stomp out their existence. Gundy has never, ever been that guy. Yeah, as long as he doesn't I'm with you. I want to see Spencer Sanders succeed. at anywhere other than OU, which I don't think is going to be a problem because they're super high on Jackson Darnold. So I don't think they would take Spencer Sanders over Jackson Darnold. But TCU, Iowa State, Baylor, Texas, maybe not Texas Tech. I know Baron Morton's going to be the truth, right? I believe in that kid quite a bit. But SMU, he could do a lot there. Nebraska, they're going to bring Casey Thompson back for another year, and with Matt Rule, you see some possibilities there. But yeah, the list is as long as you can possibly think for places that want Spencer Sanders. What about Bedlam 2011? What do you mean there, bub? I don't know what you meant. I'm trying to piece that one together, Russell. I don't know what you mean there by what do you mean not even Bedlam 2011? Oh, yeah, okay. I got you. It was a lopsided. Yes, we should have won. But how many times have we should have won and didn't? This year, 2013, 24. Well, we did win in 2014. We got a little lucky, a little bit of Tyreek Hill magic, a little bit of Mason Rudolph magic, a little bit of Bob Stoops pulling a Gundy and repunting to the fastest dude in all of football. Yeah, and that's sad that if Bob Stoops decides to decline the penalty and not repunt, we lose 2014 as well. Yeah, guys. I mean, for as much as Gundy's responsible for all the good stuff, this season, this 7-5 is the reason why a large portion of the fan base that refused to acknowledge that Gundy should ever go anywhere will maybe at least like just take a little step back and let's contextualize what has happened under Gundy. Bob Stoops stepped down for the good of the program. That is true. Bob Stoops realized that he hit his ceiling. That is very, very true and very, very accurate and very, very fair. Difference being, Bob Stoops knew that he had somebody waiting in the wings that was going to recruit better and continue the winning. So that would be a little bit different. Now, could Mike Gundy turn the keys over to Derek Mason? Yeah, he could. But will Mike Gundy do that? Absolutely not. That will never, ever, 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 ever happen. Mike Gundy is far too egotistical. Okay, so speaking of, I've never shared this story live, but I'm going to. It was 2005. Yeah, it was 2005. And if you played football at Silver High School, you could sign up for this job, right? And you would pass out these things called chairbacks, right? The comfy seats and whatever. So everybody from Stillwater High School football team that got hired, we got to do this selling chairbacks next to the program people pregame. And then after the game was over, we had to climb the stadium and we had to pick up all the chairbacks and load them on these big wooden carts. Yeah. And so we're doing that job. And it was the year that Vince Young took over the second half and absolutely destroyed us. It was either 04 or 05 in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And, after the game, like we're getting our chairbacks and we're talking to the stadium cleaning people, just shooting the breeze. And Gundy is down there doing an interview. And we're just jokingly like, hey, thanks for pissing the game away, Gundy. Well, thanks for letting Vince Young run for 73,000 yards, Gundy. And we had like a 24-point lead or something like that, and screwed the pooch, yeah. And I had a buddy that he was saying the same things we were all saying. He just happened to be, I guess, very loud or noticeable. He said the same thing, right? We're picking up these chairbacks and mumbling, oh, thanks a lot, Gundy. Thanks a lot, Gundy. And he heard my buddy, right? And he stopped his interview. And he was demanding to know what guy yelled that. And all my buddy yelled was, thanks a lot for pissing the game away, Gundy. That's all he yelled. And it was very true, very accurate, and very fair. And not even 10 minutes later, he had his wife come up in the stands, right? And so we're up at the top carrying these chairbacks. And she came up and she was demanding names, right? She wanted all of our names. And she wanted to know the guy with the red beard that was yelling. And, I wasn't going to sell my buddy out. So I told him, I said, I don't know the guy, right? You got to go talk to our manager. And he did. And his wife was saying, well, y'all need to go tell your friend that none of you are even good enough to carry Mike Gundy's jockstrap. Swear to God, hand on the Bible, she came up to the stands while we were working to tell us that none of us were good enough to even carry Mike Gundy's jockstrap. And then my buddy got banned from the stadium for life. I know for a fact, to this day, he's still banned. And that was like 2004, 2005. So some of my animosity for Gundy goes back to that. Just the what's the word I'm looking for? Like cockiness, maybe, I don't know. But you got to think, if his wife is willing to come yell at a bunch of high school kids and let us all know that none of us are good enough to even carry Mike Gundy's jockstrap, if that's the way she feels, I'm pretty sure that that's probably how Gundy feels as well. So Gundy has a very, very high sense of himself. He does. Egotistical, that's the word. I mean, but again, to play college football, I promise you, we all thought we were the guy, right? We all thought we carried the biggest stick in all of America. You got to be a little bit egotistical. You got to be a little bit cocky to step on the field and know that you're about to own the dude next to you. So again, I don't necessarily fault Gundy for being egotistical. You have to be to some degree. But yeah, to have his wife come tell us that we're not good enough to carry his jockstrap, to me, I was like, what? A, it's terrible that you feel that way. And B, why was that the verbiage that you decided to use? Right? And Kristen's a great lady, from what I've heard. But my one interaction with her was not very cool. Right? And so, yeah, I've had a little bit of it, and I won't lie. I felt a little burned, not so much about my recruiting, right? I wasn't good enough to play at OSU in football, but we had a guy on the team named Russell Borson who was good enough. Not only was he good enough, but he went to KU and he was a 2-time first team All Big 12er. And he could have played in the NFL, but he chose to be a dentist. So yes, Russell Borson, if you're hearing, shout out, brother. But I felt disrespected for him. Like he was a dude. He was a big time Okie. Defensive end. He was an absolute beast. And I watched the way that Mike Gundy recruited him, and it was trash. It was absolutely garbage. How do you not make the guy who grew up in your backyard, that lives 3 miles from the stadium, that is breaking a bunch of Silver High records, that you know is D1 caliber, how do you not go after that dude hard? I never saw Gundy at a single practice. So when Gundy says that he has this pipeline with Silver High School, he does now, but I'm telling you from experience, back then, he didn't. We didn't have coaches come watch our practices, and we had the best defensive end in the state. So I was burnt by Gundy a while back because of the way they recruited Russell. I guess you could say the lack of recruiting they did for Russell. And then Russell goes to KU. He's part of that 12-1 team, the 2007 Orange Bowl. Yeah, and I know he's up in top 10 in a lot of the KU stats, historically speaking. So this dude grew up 3 miles from your stadium his whole life. His dream was to go to Oklahoma State University, and you don't offer him anything worthwhile. My thing was track. I was pretty good in track. I was good at high jump. I was good at track. I was 6'4" white dude that could run fast, right? So obviously I was going to get some looks in football, but I was never good enough to play football at Oklahoma State. I know that. Which is why I played at a small school, Friends University in IA. But it wasn't about me. It was about the way they recruited some of the other, like Steven Griner. Steven Griner was a potential All-American wide receiver and punter. He tore his ACL third game of the season. It was another person. Like the All-Americans we had on our team, Gundy didn't mess with any of them. Matter of fact, the only player that went to OSU was Jacob Seacrest. If you're listening, buddy, I'm sorry to say, but Jacob Seacrest, he was 6'7", 310, but he was what's the right word? He wasn't very aggressive. Right? So he wasn't aggressive in high school. He was just big. He was a big dude. But he never liked to pancake dudes and throw people around. So I didn't really know he was going to have the aggressiveness to play at OSU anyways. But so like the one guy they went after was somebody that got absolutely picked up and manhandled and thrown around like a rag doll by Russell Borson. It rubbed me the wrong way. And then, Kristen's comments about, none of us being good enough to carry Mike Gundy's jock straps. That was unnecessary, petty, insecure. Yeah. Clean jock strap. Well, I'm telling you, by the inflections that she was using in her voice, I think she was talking about a used jock strap, which made it even worse, right? That hurts the soul. Oh, you talking about me being fired up? Yeah. It would be nice if Gundy, cared. That's the thing, guys. Like, I care a lot, which is, again, why I sit in my car for 4.5 hours listening to wrestling and golf. I don't care what sport it is. If it's an Oklahoma State sport, because I'm trying to learn about tennis right now. And I can tell you, I picked up a tennis racket one time in college. We had to do this thing for homecoming where they picked a certain number of freshmen, and we had to like dance with the Palm Squad for the pep rally type thing at Friends University, and it ended up working out right. I got in good with one of the Palm Squad girls and dated her most of my freshman year, so shout out. But yeah, we were putting this thing together, and even back then, I wouldn't miss a game, guys. I would sit in my dorm, and that was 05. We were terrible, right? So I caught a lot of crap. Matter of fact, a betting story. The one time I bet one of my roommates was defensive tackle, Kyle Lincoln from Oklahoma. Another roommate, he was a running back from New York. And I bet him that we would lose to Texas Tech because we'd lost like every game. Not literally, but yeah, it was a bad year, right? It wasn't a good look, wasn't a good time. I better get my laptop plugged in before it dies here. But yeah, I bet against Oklahoma State, and we freaking beat a ranked Texas Tech in 2005 while we were scraping the bottom of the barrel as far as wins go. Dang nabbit, where's my? I can't find my charger. I think my laptop charger got left downstairs, Joe. And for those of you who don't know, probably not very many know, but I only have one leg, or else I would just run downstairs and grab it. But that's not an option for me. See, I got the fake. I got my prosthetic rocking and rolling over here. Yeah, I just lost my leg 2.5 years ago. It was an old injury, and I had a bunch of blood clots, and it just it destroyed all my arteries. So I had my leg amputated last year. I don't get to rock with the prosthetic a whole lot. I still got to have a few more operations, but so if this thing dies, it dies. I'm sorry. Actually, hold on. Hey, baby Beth, can you run downstairs, honey, and grab the laptop charger I had plugged in? I need you to run downstairs and grab my laptop charger I had plugged in by the back door. Thank you, honey. See, that's what kids are for, though, huh? No, I was talking about the fire he had for some high school. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, he was pretty heated. And to my knowledge, I don't even think he finished that interview he was given. Like, I get it. Like, people messed up his interview or whatever, but it's not like, look, we weren't legitimately, nobody was yelling. I mean, my buddy was pretty loud. I ain't gonna lie. But he was see what he did. He played DT for Stiller High. I think he played a little bit of offensive side, but he's a big old dude, man. He's a big old dude, big old voice, whatever. But yeah, the irritation was like nothing that he said was wrong. Not a single thing that my buddy said was wrong. He wasn't cussing. He wasn't screaming. All he simply did was say, "Hey, Gunny, thanks for pissing the game away. Thanks for ruining." We were in high school. We weren't running around cursing and saying a bunch of crazy stuff. Thank you, honey. Oh, you brought the dog too? Hi, Moose. If you're listening here, Zane Harrison's somebody that catches on, gets on quite a bit of my stuff. Prayers go out to you. He lost his dog of 14 years today, and there's my little puppy. Oh, he's gone now. Never mind. Anyways, all right, I got it plugged in. We're good to go here. The play calling has been atrocious since Dunn was promoted. Hopefully, Dunning make a change. Yeah, I agreed. Play calling has not been very good, but again, I think it's more on Gundy than it is on Dunn. I do believe that Dunn will go somewhere and he'll be a successful offense coordinator, and then we can once again look back and say, man, why didn't he run those plays in Stillwater? But we know the answer, right? If Casey Dunn does in fact go somewhere, be a successful offense coordinator, everybody's going to look back on this, and instead of saying, oh, why couldn't he do that at Stillwater, we're going to say, oh, now I see what it was. You can't hold people back. That's why Spencer Sanders is gone, y'all. Spencer Sanders is tired of being held back. Last year, the offense was, don't mess it up for the defense, right? This year, the offense has been who knows what. But if it can go, if you can trace this back to Vince Lombardi has very many sayings and quotes talking about how you don't want to play for somebody who's playing not to lose, right? Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing. So if this has been true for 100+ years, why does it take a terrible 7-5 season and losing one of the top 5 greatest quarterbacks in the history of Oklahoma State, probably top 4? Why does it take all of that before we finally are starting to wake up and realize this is not a recruiting problem? It's not a player problem. It's not a Dunn problem. It's not a retention of talent problem. It's not a NIL financial problem. It's not a facilities problem. It's a Gundy problem. His ego and stubbornness will not allow him to go against his predetermined decision. And he's joked about how he will let assistants make suggestions, but he doesn't typically go with them. Verbatim, like it was the show he does with Dave Hunziker just like a week ago. He said the same thing, right? They can make suggestions, ha, 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 but I don't really listen. It's flipping true. And we have 18 years of proof, and it's taken this dumpster fire of a season for us to finally start to wake up a bit. It's sad and it sucks. And if we don't capitalize on what we have been doing over the last decade to 12 years, if we don't capitalize on it, then it is going to become too late, right? We cannot wait on a 5-win season before we make a decision. Again, Gundy has earned one more year. But if we do not win the Big 12 title, or at least even play for it, I would argue that if we don't win it, he should be out. But if we play for it and we have 11, 12-win season, then yeah, maybe he gets another year. But I think from here on out, we've seen enough to not have this ridiculous lifetime contract shit going on. That should not happen, right? Unless he's won 5 Big 12 titles and played for a national title, then yeah, you give him 20-year, 50-year, I don't care how long contract. But you're paying a dude almost $8 million to have a yearly, let's just call it a failure. Is Oklahoma State's team last year better than this year's TCU squad? I know the answer, so I'm not even going to answer. I'm going to let somebody else answer before I chime in. Does anybody think that TCU right now was better than Oklahoma State at any point in time last year? Yeah, he does. He does say that a lot. You are very, very right. His disassociation, right? Well, we just coach. They're the ones that have to make the plays. Yeah, he has said that multiple times. Well, I'm not the one out there playing. The players have to get it done. All we can do is, sit back from a distance. He's even mentioned that in his CEO role now, all he does is just kind of, walk around and see where things are going wrong. Yeah, TCU. Thank you. TCU right now is not even close to as good as we were last season. Not at any point in time this season has TCU looked as good as we were last year. But what is TCU? Undefeated. What were we last year? Not. Because and again, guys, like I like to go watch film before I say things. But I did rewatch the Iowa State game last year, 2 weeks ago. And it was in large part to decision making. I mean, yeah, we had some calls that didn't quite go our way, but isn't that going to happen every year, almost every game, no matter what reffing crew is out there, right? That's just the nature of the beast, as they say. Gundy hasn't been fired up since the rant. So actually, somebody mentioned on social media to me the other day that they saw a change in Gundy after 2014, so the 2015 season. And I'll admit I haven't gone back to look at that film yet. I will. So I can't say whether that's 100% fair or not. But what I can say is that timing seems about right. I would say, yeah, it was around that time. And even more so after Mason Rudolph left. I really feel like Mike Gundy decided that Mason Rudolph and Justice Hill and everybody he had at his disposal, including obviously Wallace, going into potentially the Chuba Hubbard stuff. I feel like Gundy decided that because we didn't get it done with those guys, that maybe it just can't be done. Well, then get somewhere else, man. Like, if you seriously think that, and he has made comments about how it's hard to get recruits to Stillwater. Really? Really? Because can anybody tell me that Tuscaloosa, Alabama was, a thriving metropolitan area that every recruit wanted to go to 10 years ago, 15 years ago? No. Tuscaloosa, Alabama is no different than Stillwater, Oklahoma. Do you think Chris Kleiman's having a massive problem getting recruits up to Manhattan, Kansas right now? No. And the Little Apple of Manhattan is like a direct replica of Stillwater, America, is it not? Like the strip and everything in Manhattan is very comparable to the way that Stillwater, America is set up. So if Chris Kleiman can get people into Manhattan, Kansas, stop telling me that we can't get people to Stillwater, Oklahoma. Really? Did we not get Talon Shetron to Stillwater, Oklahoma? Did we not get Colin Oliver to Stillwater, Oklahoma? Did we not get Garrett Rangel to Stillwater, Oklahoma? Are we not getting Zane Flores to Stillwater, Oklahoma? Ollie Gordon got offered a bag of cash by Texas, and he still chose to come to Stillwater, Oklahoma. Stop telling us that it's hard to get people here. It's stupid, and it's weak. And we're all, frankly, tired of hearing it because it's a bold-faced lie. You can get people to Stillwater because Oklahoma State has been so successful over the last 10, 15 years. The recruits that are of age right now, they don't remember OSU being bad. There's not a single recruit that steps foot on campus that remembers Oklahoma State being bad, y'all. So this thought process that we're going to nosedive if Gundy's gone is preposterous. We cannot, bro, we cannot lose Ollie Gordon. We can't lose Ollie. Yeah, that's, like I said, guys, I want to save some stuff for some of the guests that I have coming on next week. For those that haven't heard yet, and we're getting more people in, I'll have Stephon Johnson Sr., Stephon Johnson Jr.'s dad, coming on the show later on this week. It'll either be Tuesday or Wednesday. I think we're leaning for Tuesday. I have 100% confirmation from Tatum Bell being on the show Thursday. So I'm going to save some of this stuff for when they're on. But, yeah, losing Ollie would be massive. Massive, massive, massive. Preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. This could be a mass exodus. It could be. It could be. I don't have a lot of fears defensively. I do think that a lot of these guys are going to come back because of Derek Mason and because of the fact that they know Mike Gundy has nothing to do with defense. So they know for a fact Mike Gundy can't really screw them up a whole lot. But offensively, yeah, right? If the heart and soul of your squad is so dejected and drained, that trickles down. And we already have I don't want to say we have a bad offensive line. We don't. I think the talent's there. Guys, Caleb Etienne, he's got an NFL body. He shed 55 pounds to get ready for the season over the last 2 years. I know some people are worried about the amount of injuries. I think that there's some things that cannot be a coincidence, right? But I think that one is. I still have a lot of faith in Body by Glass because this is the same guy that has taken a crap ton of 2 stars, no stars, barely 3 stars, and put him in the NFL. So I don't think we have to stress about Rob Glass, okay? I think this year's amount of injuries were just kind of an anomaly. And the time in the year that the bye came, it was terrible. It's a terrible time to have a bye week. Just we had some things stacking against Rob Glass this year, I think. So I'm gonna give him a pass on the injuries this season. I know some people are pretty concerned that maybe he worked everybody too hard, which is why we have so many injuries. I don't necessarily think that. Again, from what I can tell, players individually started quitting after they watched their head coach quit against TCU. And every game after that has been a reverberation of mediocrity, has it not? It all started with TCU. If we don't play to lose against Baylor, Texas Tech, and TCU, win or lose, everybody's still pumped up for a big-ass season. But we barely hang on to beat Baylor. We barely hang on to beat Tech. And then we try to do this barely hang on shit against TCU, and it doesn't work. And you could just see the life sucked out of some people. And then the rest of the season, you saw some selfishness, right? It's fair, right? It's the best defensive line we've possibly ever had since maybe mid-'80s. 84 D-line was pretty legit. And instead of performing as a cohesive unit after TCU, what you saw? You saw some individual play. So instead of the line moving like this, you had some players doing this and that. And it's not like a Brock Martin, right? We're not saying that. Not necessarily even a Brendan Evers. But again, watch the film. What I'm saying is 100% verifiable and is easily findable. The team started quitting after they watched their head coach quit after TCU. Right? Some people accuse me of being too opinionated. That's not an opinion. Like, go back and watch the film. If you watch the first 4 games, even when we struggled, right? Some of the Central Michigan game was a struggle fest, but the effort was there across the board. 2021 effort, lights out. After TCU, effort changed by a lot, right? And you saw the K-State game. You've heard players talk about how they quit. Our players, out of their mouths, said they quit against K-State. And now that dude that said that, probably no way he returns. And he's played himself into, I would say, a 3rd rounder for sure. Would I love to see him return next year? Absolutely. Guys, if you have Jason Taylor back next season with the young pieces that we got to see on defense this year, our defense next year could be amazing. Our defense next year could look somewhat like last year's. It won't be as good. I get that. But it could look very similar. The concern has to be offense, right? Garrett Rangel is going to provide a good future, as is Zane Flores. Gunnar Gundy is still better than people think. I'm being real with you. But yeah, we've got to change Gundy's contract. Like, this lifetime thing is just it's for the birds. Win something, and then give him a crazy contract. That's fine. We're all fine with that. But when you're paying a lot of money for abject failure, what incentive does Gundy have to change anything? If you're Gundy and you're getting paid this amount of money and you're already a legend, you'll already have a statue, your name will already be up in the banners. It's your way, right? It's your way. You're Gundy. You've got us here. You and your jockstrap have got us to this point. No need to change. That's my fear. That's my concern. And that is why Spencer Sanders is leaving. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen. There's some things I will gladly give you my opinion on, but there's some things I know for a fact. And that is a certainty. Spencer Sanders is tired of hitting a ceiling, right? Because just like I covered the other day, you'll take 15 picks if it comes with 60 touchdowns. And I think that's Spencer's mentality. He has that Brett Favre esque in him, right? I'm not calling him Brett Favre, but he plays like Brett Favre 100%. And you can tell he just wants to be somewhere where he can just let it rip. And if he has 15 picks, so be it. That's on him. That hurts his draft stock. But he wants the opportunity to be creative, right? Look back to 2011. Brandon Weeden was forced by the design of the offense to spread the ball around. He couldn't get fixated on just one or two guys. This year was the first time in Spencer Sanders' career that he spread it out a lot, right? Every year it's been throw to Tay Martin, throw to Tylan Wallace, that type of thing. That's been Spencer's get out of jail free card. He didn't have that this year. So you knew he was going to spread it out more. And you saw by who he hit this year. Spencer Sanders wanted to do more. And you got to think, if Spencer Sanders goes to the same practices as everybody else, he probably loves Dominic Richardson. But he probably can see that Ollie Gordon and Jaden Nixon do more for the offense. How do we have a zone run blocking scheme with nothing but a power back? See, it doesn't make sense. Spencer could see we're trying to put a square peg in a round hole. You know what? I appreciate that. How do we get me to 1,000 subs? Well, I'll get there, right? I don't mind taking the slow game. I've only had this job for like a month and a half. So, I know it'll grow. And to be honest with you, the reason that, when I started, this channel had been going for 3 years and it had 34 followers or subscribers or whatever. So we're doing good. I agree. We should be doing much better. But on social media, I actually took a little bit of a poll on why my YouTube numbers are going up pretty decent, but my podcast numbers are kind of stalled out. And people were very open and honest, and 90% of the answers were, it's depressing hearing about football right now. It's depressing because we're sucking so bad. It's depressing to get on podcasts and hear negativity. Even when I wasn't being negative, right? It just, unfortunately, the success of programs have a direct reflection in how much of my job expands, right? Let's just call a spade a spade. There's not a big calling to have people on for mediocrity. My biggest podcast on Spotify and Apple and all that was the day after I got off of one of the Texas shows. So I joined the Locked On Longhorns show, and I stirred the pot a little bit. And yeah, I do know that I did lose some fans because of my negativity to Gundy. Guys, as much as we're able to see the writing on the wall, there's still there. I still get bashed every time I cover Gundy. I promise you, every time I cover Gundy, I get messages and emails and stuff about how negative I am. It's like I have a personal vendetta against Gundy. No, I don't. I have a personal vendetta against abject, purposeful failure that's fixable. That's what I have a problem with. And as far as the subs and all that, it'll grow. And especially now that I'm going to start having people like Tatum Bell and Stephon Johnson Sr. and Kenyatta Wright possibly on the show. It's going to grow. It's going to continue to get bigger. I'm going to do some stuff later on in the basketball season with Feels Like 45. They have a pretty cool podcast. The difference, though, is I do this every single day, all day. This is my job. This is my career. I study film and Oklahoma State historical knowledge every day, 6-7 hours a day. So just because of how much I care about my job and how much time and effort I put in, I do know that it'll continue to grow. I appreciate the kind words. We'll get there. But yeah, we went from 34 to 170 in a few weeks. So, it's slow, but it's steady. And the more guests that I have on, the more shows that I'm able to appear on, the more it'll grow. But again, part of that is success rate, right? Matter of fact, I was asked to join a show early into it, but I admitted that I didn't know enough yet. And I still don't. I'm still learning as I go. Guys, this is my third live event. And tomorrow will be my 33rd show, my 33rd episode. So we're still early, but it's going to continue to grow. Because of how much passion I have for Oklahoma State, how much love I have for this university, and how much research I do, I do know that it's only going to go up, right? So again, I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate everybody stopping in here. We'll hang on about another 10 minutes or so, hit that 2 hour mark. I appreciate people jumping in. Yeah, I think, like I said, I got to save some things for my guest Tuesday because we're going to have some of this conversation. And my fears, I don't know, my fears outweigh my excitement right now. And hopefully we can dispel some things. But pace yourself, YouTube, burnout is real. You know, I've heard that, and I can see that because. So the thing that my only frustrations thus far are like when people take things out of context and like try to pass it off. That bothers me. Okay, for an example, the other day in my show, I mentioned that Spencer Sanders plays like Brett Favre, and he does. That's exactly how he plays the game of football. And I had people like, "Oh, yeah, you're saying he's like Brett Favre? That's stupid." No, I never said he was Brett Favre. I said he plays like Brett Favre. So I could see that is slightly bothersome when people take like one snippet and then they pump it off as some big thing. What do you mean? Did he flop again? I don't know what you mean by that one, brother. Did Spencer Sanders flop again? Gonna do a Patreon eventually? Yes. Yeah, I will. So to be honest with you, I feel like I have to get a little bit better before I deserve any additional pay. I get paid. I get a paycheck from Locked On Sports Network. So I'm doing okay. But yes, I will be doing a Patreon page and stuff eventually. Again, I want to respect the job as much as I respect the fan base. So I just wanted to make sure that I had this thing down a little bit better, um, and I made my presentations a little bit better, and got my commercial breaks in the right way. No, Spencer didn't even play, Bubba. Spencer chose to sit out for this one. Yeah, no, I will be doing a Patreon page. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. I just, I didn't feel like I was good enough yet for that. And I still don't. I still don't think I'm quite good enough to deserve extra pay just yet. But I'm getting pretty close. Yeah, I have a Twitter, brother. It's my Twitter is all day O State. And then my Facebook is O State all day. I have another historical page as well, but obviously, Locked On's paying the bills, so I need to give all my football and basketball content to the Locked On Network. But yeah, bro, I'll get that other O State All Day page. I'll get it going again here shortly as well. And what I'll be doing there is I'll be covering the other sports, your wrestling, your basketball, or sorry, not basketball, your baseball, your softball, your tennis, track, field, cross country. And then I'll also be doing historical stuff on that show as well. You can go now. I have some shows I cover. Okay, to give a quick example, I cover stuff like why Oklahoma State became a university from 1825, from the production of King Cotton, to 1862, when the boll weevil was a bug that came up through Mexico, through Texas, and it destroyed all the crops in the South. So Oklahoma State, just like Iowa State and Kansas State, these were universities that were specifically created to help with farming, agriculture, pesticide control, things of that nature. So I do a lot of historical stuff. I have shorts and videos about Bob Finnemore's 1945 season, how he got screwed out of the Heisman because he had 1,641 yards by himself for third place. I can't. So what? Yeah, it's. Where's my dang old thingy? Maybe you have to capitalize. Guys, I'm not the most technologically advanced in the world. I didn't have a Twitter or anything until all this stuff got going. So, yeah, it's at all day O State. Sometimes writing it. Yeah. Maybe I capitalize the A in all day and the O in O State. Maybe that'll do it. If not, just shoot me your Twitter and I'll hit you up, brother. But yeah, it's at all day O State on Twitter. And then O State all day. So the same exact thing in reverse for what's that? Facebook. And then I have my historical Oklahoma State page as well. So, but yeah, I'll be on here daily. Obviously, it's my job, so I'll be covering the Locked On Oklahoma State stuff on a daily basis. But I will be getting the other O State all day YouTube page rocking again shortly. I just had to legality wise make sure that I wasn't stepping on any toes. I do know that there's some exclusivity contracts and whatnot that I have to abide by for Locked On, and they want me to do all my football, basketball stuff on this show. So that's what I'll be doing. But most everything else, historical, sports, I'll be doing on that other show sometimes. And then I am on Twitter quite a bit, and I get on Facebook occasionally. Again, not the biggest into social media, but again, it's part of the job now, so I have to. I actually just got an Instagram recently as well. I don't understand what it's for, but I have one, and it's also State all day. So I'm coming around, guys. I'm coming around again, which is precisely why I feel like I got a little bit to go before I'm ready for all the Patreon and all that fun jazz. But all right, I got you, brother. I got you, Brian. LEHR5. Too easy. Yeah, I got you. Me too, man. Yeah, I didn't. Okay. So I got a Twitter, and then I started a YouTube page because I heard that this Locked On company was looking for Oklahoma State guy, and I knew people with journalism degrees and all that were in the running. So me not having a journalism degree, I was like, how can I get my foot in the door? Because I didn't have a resume to send them either that was, feasible for what they were looking for. So I decided I would just prove that I have more Oklahoma State knowledge than most anybody else they were going to be able to hire. I've caught heat for saying that before too, but I'm not going to apologize for telling the truth. I would argue I probably do more research on Oklahoma State than anybody. And I've been attending games since the early 90s, got season tickets in 97. I just, my dad worked in Stillwater basically. So I would literally walk campus as a little kid. I would sneak into OSU baseball games, when Allie P was in its prime because they didn't really, it was just different back then. But yeah, I love what I do. And I didn't really know what to do. I wanted this type of job. I got accepted to the Full Sail Dan Patrick Broadcasting School, so I was going to do that to try to get this type of job. But then I just swung for the fences, brother. I made a page. I started making OSU content. I started sending it out. And then I had their national talent scouting, whatever director get in contact with me. And I knew I had competition with other people who had journalism degrees and the backgrounds to do this stuff. So I just kept making videos for them. That was my resume. And yeah, I covered the beginning of Oklahoma State. I covered the differentiation between Oklahoma State and OU and how they both got started and why they both got started. And I covered Bob Fenimore and I covered the 1945 season. I covered Jim Lucaball. And that kind of got my foot in the door. And that's how I got this job over people who had degrees and whatnot in this field. So passion won out over education. So hey, it worked. And I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. My old job is not super happy. So I ran a imports car dealership right before this, and they still technically have kept my sales manager position open due to FMLA. And I still get texts from the owner a lot. And I've told him 9 times, yeah, I'll be back eventually. But, dealing with the disability, VA, all that crap, it takes a while, unfortunately. So now that I've got this, I might not go back. I mean, I might just to help out because I do have a lot of love for the owners of that company. They were really good to me throughout all the surgeries and everything. So I will probably go back and help. But as far as prime job, this is it. And the irony is, as my wife would say, it's perfect because I did this stuff anyways, right? I listened to all the games, all the interviews. I would go over the stats, and I would have this thesaurus of unnecessary information, right? And I could talk Oklahoma State all day, every day, like any time frame, because of the amount of work that I put into it. Yeah, I can talk about any era that you guys want of the Cowboys. If you want to go back to 1895, 1897, it doesn't matter to me. I get into all of it because I love it. But yeah, that's another reason why I think that we deserve a change as a fan base eventually. And by eventually, I mean, if we do not win the Big 12 title next season, you got to cut ties, because if we keep Gundy for 2 more years, 3 more years, 4 more years, and we keep having these type of seasons, we will lose the ability to go get a Matt Rule, to go get a Lance Leipold, to go get a Dave Aranda. Right now, we can. Right now, Oklahoma State University could steal a good number of coaches across America. We absolutely could. But if we keep down this road, 3 years from now, it won't be the case. And then we are stuck with Gundy. Win, lose, draw, doesn't matter. I love the guy. I love that he's a legend. I love what he's done for Oklahoma State more than anybody else. But he raised the bar. And now he can't hit the bar that he raised. It's a fact, Jack. Whether we like it or love it or hate it, it is what it is. But anywho, all right, brother, I will make sure that I find you on Twitter. Because I do appreciate the kind words. I appreciate the back and forth and the insight. And yeah, if y'all have any questions you guys want me to ask Tatum Bell or Stephon Johnson Sr., other than the obvious, don't ask me to ask him if the Suns transferred or not. Yeah, that's what's the forefront of my brain too. But I ain't gonna do that to the man. I am gonna pick and prod a little bit, but I'm not gonna, boldface ask him to make that announcement before a bowl game. That would be a terrible thing for me to even do. So I wouldn't do that. I'm not going to do that. But if you have other questions that y'all want me to ask, feel free to fire away. Shoot me a message on Twitter. Here, my email is cstove2021 at gmail. So if y'all can email me too. I don't mind, honestly. All right, cool deal, y'all. Appreciate you. Sorry that we face planted to end the season, but I said that I'd have good news to make everybody happy. So y'all already now know that the news is having Tatum Bell and Stephon Johnson Sr. on the show next week. So tune in, stay fired up. We still got basketball, the women's basketball. JC Hoyt, she's fun to get behind. Mike Boynton's recruiting class is massive, so at least he can do what Gundy cannot do and bring in big-time players. Eventually, if you have that much talent, you're going to have success. And yeah, people as parents would fall over themselves to have their sons play for Mike Boynton. Their daughters are going to do the same with JC Hoyt. If we do not capitalize on the strength of Oklahoma State, Gundy is going to ruin the same thing that he produced. So, yeah, you guys are awesome. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much, brother. I'll get in touch with you, and you guys have a wonderful evening. Until tomorrow, God bless. Go Pokes. And we'll be talking about basketball and other fun, fluffy stuff tomorrow, guys. Later.